I see it now.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing? All right. Now we're live. Well, I would say, well, hello to Dave and Faro for joining me on Zoom, and then everybody else on Facebook that is watching live. I'm actually now starting to look forward to these Sundays because I do get an opportunity to connect with so many more people, and I think Facebook Live is really people get to watch and see. And I was just saying to you guys, it's been an interestingly busy week. Obviously, we're getting towards the end of September, less than 40 days to the election. So things are getting heated up, and we're putting all efforts out there to make sure voters are hearing about the campaign. We're doing our outreach. There's multiple efforts going on with phone banking, with lit drop, with postcard writing. So all hands on deck. I would say whoever would like to support the campaign, please do sign up at sabinazafar.org/volunteer. Join the team. We need everybody to join us in getting the word out. It's been very positive so far. Like I was talking to you guys, we had our debate actually last week, which was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, the American Association of University Women, and San Ramon Dublin Women's Club. And Gina Chanel from Barcadero Media was a moderator. I felt really good about it. I got a lot of messages afterwards. People appreciated the positivity. People appreciated what I want to do for San Ramon and what my vision is. Um, there were some negative things that came up during the debate and some misinformation, which I did want to address. One of them was about our paychecks that the city council is making 163 or some ridiculous 63,000 or some number like that. So I'm like, all right, show me where that one is because I leave my day job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in all transparency, all of this information is on the city's website because this is taxpayers' money. Everything that the council is paid, everything actually what the staff is paid, all of that is on the San Ramon City website. So if anybody wants to know, they can actually just go on the website and look for it. To let people know how much a council member makes, we're actually paid $900 a month. I think that comes to 15,000 a year. I don't think I would be able to afford and live in San Ramon on that salary. And then the mayor gets $100 more for all the work the mayor does. So this is really about community service. This is about giving back to your community. And I would say a lot of times we end up donating most of that money to charities and events that we do attend. And during COVID, it was something that I did personally, not something I wanted to advertise, but since the question did come up during the debate, I did want to let folks know that during COVID, I gave up my salary, even the $900 a month, because we were talking about furloughing people or putting people on a lesser schedule. And I just did not feel right even taking the 900. So I actually did give up my salary during COVID. And, like I said, I continue to work for the residents of San Ramon. It is not something that I do for glory or money or any of that. I really do feel the city has given me so much that I owe it back. Um, I'm coming from my backyard, so guys can probably sometimes hear the birds in the backyard too. But it is really public service, if anything, right, at the city level is where it counts and where you really have, ears to the ground, and you're working with the people and truly serving. This is truly public service where you're doing things for the betterment of your city. And you're constantly listening to and talking to your residents. So I take this office with and the responsibility with a lot of honor and responsibility. And sometimes people will say things like, you guys are lining your pockets or things like that, and that's not true. That we have to file a form 700, which is again all public records, which people can go and see, what we have, what assets we have, if we've accepted anything over what I think the limit is 45 or 50, even a dinner, will write from somebody. So it's very, very transparent. I know some from the past, sometimes people might have experienced coming from other places where corruption isn't a way of life or the way things are done. But over here in California, it's we're tied by very strict laws. So I do want to make that clear because I think it is very important for people to trust the public servants. It's very important for people to understand that how much transparency there is. Um, in public service, and these putting out these numbers just to win an election is not nice, because what if you are in that role, and then how do you defend it, because you just said this is what's going on. So just wanted to kind of address that, because I did have some people ask me questions, and I wanted to bring that up. Other than that, I was at the farmers market again yesterday. Great questions keep coming up as I meet with people about what's, the future of San Ramon, how are things going. The bike plan is something I don't know if I talked about last time, but certainly I do want to talk about the bike master plan that the city approved. I would say about 4 years ago. We paid a consultant to basically do a survey and come up with a bike master plan. The bike master plan is about $40 million to implement. Uh, Part of it will get implemented as part of the roads, and as we go through and fix our different streets and roads, and that's on a rolling schedule. Whose street is up next, and part of it will get integrated as we upgrade and update our streets. But we've also got some money that we've uh, taken a loan to basically put towards our bike master plan. So the three key infrastructure things that we're going to be focusing on is obviously the overpass across Bollinger, which is going to connect Iron Horse Trail. And that's the money which the city has been getting funds and things like that for the last few years. So it's not something that just came about and we're spending this. I did when I did join the infrastructure committee. That's what I went into, asked all the questions to find out how are we funding this, where did the money come from, and there's a breakdown of the different agencies and um, federal and state that are giving us money into this fund, which we're going to be using to build the bridge. It's not, we're not taking money out of the budget per se, because this has already been pre-funded. This is a money which is already earmarked. So these funds are already available to us. So, even though we are talking about budget impacts, this is something which continues to move forward. I believe it's in the design phase now, and in a couple of years we should see it coming. Aesthetically, I was very, I wanted to make sure we were looking at that it matches the aesthetics of San Ramon. There was an extensive survey, I believe, back to the residents. Again, not in the last 2 years, but before that, where people did actually vote on the designs that they preferred as well. And the council kind of looked at the preferred designs and picked that. Um, I, I think everybody in council is excited about it, because it really is phase one of what the Iron Horse Trail next 10-year plan is going to look like. Everybody, we are technically, the city does not own the Iron Horse Trail, but the pieces that pass through San Ramon, we really want to make sure that as we roll out our 10-year master plan for parks and trails and open spaces, that we specifically focus on the Iron Horse Trail. One of the reasons is the feedback has been from all residents has been phenomenal in terms of, them wanting to see the Iron Horse Trail develop more. We're seeing more and more people obviously biking and walking right now. We certainly see that we need more shade trees. We need, places to sit. And it can really become a corridor, again, a thriving corridor, if you will, along all these cities in Contra Costa County and all the way to Livermore, actually. Uh, so people will certainly see investments there, and I continue. I'm a liaison on the Iron Horse Committee, and so I continue to make sure that San Ramon is well represented on that committee. Um, what other things are going on. So we talked about in our last council meeting, we actually talked about what we were calling the Crow Canyon specific plan. We will eventually vote to call it San Ramon Village or something like that, because really the vision is that these houses, which were as part of the general plan, were already approved. We've actually reduced the number of housing units that will be allowed, but the plan is to make it sort of a walkable, bikeable, what the word they use was paseos, basically, that we learned that paseos are, paths that are walkable and bikeable. So basically build it in a way into a neighborhood which is walkable, bikeable, integrate some of the historic elements of San Ramon, and is architecturally designed to be, not just homes, but a destination where people can walk and bike. So I'm excited about it. We're continuing to take public comment on it. So if you have any input, insight, go look at the Crow Canyon specific plan right now on our website. Please do bring your comments to the next council meeting, and we'd love to hear what your input and insights are. I don't know if we have any questions on Facebook, or Dave or Farouk, do you guys have any questions for me?
Um, I have one. On your debate, what is this iron horse thing?
Iron Horse Trail? Oh, that's good to know. See, people who don't live in San Ramon. So Iron Horse Trail is basically a regional trail,
Mhm.
which starts in Concord
Okay.
and it goes all the way to Livermore.
Mhm.
It is 46 miles, and I've biked it, so I kind of know that. And it goes to all the different cities, and some cities have actually built their downtowns around it, so you can get off the trail, go into a downtown, come back in. My dream and vision is that we will do the same thing, build these connectors into our businesses.
Mhm.
And plus it also, goes through houses and things. It used to be a railway track, a train track,
Okay.
years ago. And actually the county just got it approved where you can no longer have a train on it. But obviously they've been doing a study where they want to see if we can get electric, small electric buses, if you will, on it as well. I don't know if the future looks like, um, with all of that, but certainly they've tested electric bikes,
Mhm.
and so those are, so yeah, it's a very regional train. And like I was saying, one of the things that San Ramon is doing is Bollinger is quite wide,
Mhm.
and it took people a long time, and people just did not cross over on the other side of the trail. They just turned around. So the first overpass that we're building, a walkable pedestrian bridge, is going to allow people to cross that with, and so it's going to get it more connected. And
Okay.
then the goal is, once this is successful, then how do we identify other intersections on the trail to do this? If you take this trail actually from San Ramon all the way to, it's maybe less than 4 miles to get to the Dublin BART station. So
Mhm.
encouraging and connecting our region with more of the transit, bikeable, friendly, pathways as well.
Okay.
It's an important one.
Okay.
So yes, that's the Iron Horse Trail.
Mhm. And second question is about, I know many times you've posted that this this opportunity is available, being the board of being part of the arts committee or whatever committee. So is it only limited to the people living in San Ramon, or
Yes.
anybody outside of the city can be part of that committee as well?
Yeah, so only people that are residents of San Ramon,
Okay.
and these are advisory committees to the council. So people who serve on these committees then um, advise the council on, just like, Dave is on the arts committee, so advises the council on what the residents want, what are, some of the things on art we do. Again, as a council, we cannot function without getting the support of all these amazing committees that really bring wonderful ideas to council, and
Okay.
that's kind of how the process works.
And
Okay.
I know Dave
I'm
had a
paid
question.
$0, so I'm definitely not lining my pockets either.
You're given like $0 for serving
Yes,
on the
which is
committee.
fine. I love doing it.
Yeah.
So Sabina, I think some of the opponents of things like City Walk or the Crow Canyon plan, they often talk about like growing crazy or whatever. But what I think gets omitted sometimes intentionally is that there's state law that says that we have to build a certain amount of affordable housing. So with things like City Walk and the Crow Canyon plan, how close does that get us to meeting those sort of state thresholds?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Thank you for asking that question. So there is what we call RENA numbers that come out for every eight-year cycle, and we just got the latest RENA numbers. And so for an 8-year cycle, right now we got allocated about 4,720 or something. I can't remember the exact number, but that's kind of what we got allocated. Obviously, the conversations will go on for another few months for us to advocate for making sure we have the housing and job balance. But yes, the state allocates because California has such a shortage of homes.
Mhm.
Everyone talks about the affordability factor. The state has allocated, and the Bay Area has allocated every city a certain number of housing that you have to build, and we have to plan for that number to meet. In the last cycle, we had about 13 to 1400, but the new cycle, as it's coming up, everybody's numbers are getting up. Actually, Danville and San Ramon have about the same uh, amount of houses that we have to plan for every 8-year cycle. And so 4,500 homes planning over the next 25 years is actually very few homes. Like if you think about it, cities will build 200 homes or 200 apartments every 5 years anyways. So it's not like it's not going to get built, but to plan it out, and that's what I've been talking to people, that this is a plan. It is a master plan, which is great because it's not going to be a hodgepodge of put a few homes here and put a few homes there, and now make sure we build roads and somehow find a way to connect. This is actually a plan which says we've laid out the groundwork. Now, as these new housing will come up, it'll go back to the commission. It'll get approved and go through the proper approval process. And San Ramon actually, I have been told, is more strict than most cities to approve a lot of these plans. So
Mhm.
it's not like we're just saying, all right, come on in. Um, and so it's a rolling plan. It's, we unfortunately we do live in a place which is very, very expensive. We love living here. We're all bearing the cost, but more and more I hear people where they're like, you know what, we are we are actually victims of our own success now, where we can't people cannot afford to live even with very high incomes.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure, right? It's a supply demand thing. We want to make sure we're building what we're building thoughtfully. We're building in a planned way. And so these specific plans are actually laying the groundwork and the infrastructure for what is going to come up in the future. So it's not like you're going to have a housing on a trail or a park. You will specifically have, you will have the lake, like I told people,
Mhm.
and it's interesting. I'll go to the lake in a little bit, but that's been a very, so many people are like, which lake are you talking about? Where in
My
San
next door
Ramon?
neighbor who's been here 30 years didn't know about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna start doing some tours of this lake or something. I've personally told people I'm gonna take you because I work in Bishop Ranch, obviously, and with the city. I've used the lake a lot, the restaurants on the lake when they were open, and you can take a boat out in the lake as well. And as part of what's going to happen as part of this master plan, those lakes are actually going to be more accessible, where people will be able to walk to them, go to the clubhouse. There's going to be an amphitheater, things like that. So, yeah, as we talk about the lakes, people are like, what lakes? And,
Mhm.
you know, honestly, these lakes were actually closed off for a number of years. And only 2016 is when Sunset actually bought it back. Well, they bought it back a little early, but 2016 is when they opened up these lakes up to public, because that used to be all part of the AT&T park and was closed off. And then when AT&T kind of resold it back to Sunset, they created this whole lake. They built restaurants around the lake. There's a person who can take you around the lake, or you can use rowboats. So I'm excited that this is all going to integrate into the larger master plan, which will be accessible by anybody, publicly accessible, privately maintained. So that's the exciting part. So yeah, so we have to meet those RENA numbers. We have, otherwise we're just not, we will get fined, and we there's going to be, I mean, the state is getting more and more strict, and rightfully so, because we have no housing for people. And people who have children now that are growing up and going, starting to work, are understanding that even more. And I would say I'm not a huge fan of overgrowth and overbuilding, but slow growth and smart growth is something we have to embrace, right? I would say, I'm like, we don't want to build more housing, but really, when you're sitting at the seat and you understand the nuances and what is important, right? It is how you do this all thoughtfully, and how do you meet those RENA requirements that are coming down to us from the state. So if we were to take into account the RENA numbers, we are way underbuilding, if you will, in if for those next, if you will, 24 years, because their cycle says you're actually supposed to be building 4,000, over 4,000 in 8 years, which we're not, absolutely not doing. Um, but we're also continuing to have this conversation of having the uh, job housing balance, because we also want to make sure that we have good paying jobs right here in the East Bay, in the Tri Valley, in San Ramon as well. As we build the housing, we don't want to become a community either, which continues to build a housing for all the jobs in the South Bay or in Silicon Valley or Palo Alto. We want our share of those jobs as well. And that is very, very important for me, that as we are building the promised housing, we get the promised jobs as well in San Ramon, so that people don't have to commute. One of the reasons I ran was when I got my work life balance, working from home and working from San Ramon, in San Ramon, like, it was life changing. And that's why I'm able to serve, to get those 3 hours back in your life. And people are certainly seeing the benefits of it as they're working from home, but that's something I'm going to continue to advocate for, that we have more jobs, local jobs here, because we do have the talent. And we partner very much with Innovation Tri Valley. Again, that's an organization which has been here in the Tri Valley for over 20 years now, and in the South Bay for, I think, over 40 years. And Innovation Tri Valley, again, San Ramon has a seat at the table with them, and what they're proposing for, and the number and data they come with up with, is showing how thriving the East Bay is, the Tri Valley is, and why, just a data-driven approach of why we need these jobs right here in the Tri Valley. And so we've been good partners. We want to make sure we talk to all organizations and continue to brand and promote our cities as a hub for smart, intelligent people that live here, and should have, options to work here versus having to commute. I understand it doesn't always happen, but when you have the supply and demand again, right? So I'm hoping we will continue to have those conversations. I'm always open to ideas as to other ways people see how, as a council, we can improve the work-life balance. How, if elected mayor, how do I advocate for that work-life balance? Because I think the key to any community coming together is the work-life balance. If you have that, you are more committed, you're more connected, you talk to your neighbors more, you're more of a community. But if you're on the road 3 hours a day, you're just exhausted and you don't want to deal with anyone.
Mhm.
So that is going to be my number one priority, to keep thinking through ideas of how we bring that work-life balance here in San Ramon for people. So yeah. So maybe talk about a few favorite things I have. Like I said, I was at Pete's Coffee this morning, so I have my Pete's Coffee here. What we have 3 Pete's Coffees in San Ramon, and Phil's Coffee's coming to San Ramon, right? And obviously we have our Starbucks, and I'm very much a coffee fan, so The other day I found out there's actually a local coffee roaster. She roasts coffee out of her house in San Ramon. So I went and picked up some beans from her. And she is called, see, now that I mention it, I should have remembered her name. I'll I'll post about it. In San Ramon. Oh, and I'm very much a coffee fan. Do you guys hearing the background?
Yeah.
There. I think it turned on. I was trying to, yeah. So I found that pretty cool that we can get local roasters here in San Ramon as well. Um, but yeah, just this has been fun sharing my Sundays with everybody. I used to go to the coffee shop, sit there, and strike up a conversation with somebody when I was campaigning before. But this has been good. And thanks, Dave and Farouk, for joining every Sunday.
Yeah.
And for your questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anything else? I don't know, Farouk, do you see anything on Facebook? Anybody asking a question or something, maybe?
No, I haven't seen anything yet.
All
Uh,
right.
no.
Well, all right. So, just wanted to wrap up with, I'm here, I'm available. You have my website to connect with, my Facebook page, everything is Sabina for Mayor. So all social media handles, whether on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram, I'm available through that, sabinazafar.org, my website. And then, now we're really picking up on the volunteering effort. So anywhere you would like to volunteer for us, we really appreciate it. Phone banking is an important one right now because we do want to get the word out. Postcard writing has been an important one. And then lit drop, we're going to drop some lit. We did actually, one of the interns started an internship program for high schoolers. That's been quite successful. So if anybody's high schooler would like to join an internship program, we're giving, you have to do 7 hours of campaign work, and you will get a certificate at the end of it. And it's we will give you tasks. We'll make sure we fill you. We have a lot to do, for you to fill your 7 hours. So if you're a high schooler or teenager is looking to intern with a campaign, just send us an email, and I will get you connected with my internship coordinator, Suyash, who's been doing an amazing job of connecting all the interns and assigning them tasks. We are all on Slack, so we've been connected through Slack. I have to give a shout out to my social media team. They have just been phenomenal in making sure that they've got a calendar of things going on. They're posting and publishing because all of this gets the word out about the campaign. And yeah, so sabinazafar.org/volunteer. We still have yard signs. If you want a yard sign, just send us a note with your address and we'll get it dropped. So with that, I think we'll wrap up the coffee or Sunday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the Sunday.
You too.
Take care.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.